It. Good morning. Oh, you're
Sorry
on mute.
about that. We're trying to
You're good.
give us a little background here, and unfortunately, I am not getting anything. This is amazing.
You having trouble
Big time.
putting the background up?
Yeah. My system crashed after we finished up.
Oh no.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well,
Let's see.
oh wait.
Yeah, you can see I'm this is really bad. I may have to go to an all-white screen if I can't get anything.
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, one of the other two guys will be able to get it up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stay here until I upgrade. I'm not sure exactly what happened here, and I so apologize.
No, it's whatever, technology, you know.
Yeah, I hate that, but let's see. I'm trying to get back now to. Hey, can you resend? I'm telling you, I had a total, William. Can you send me the letter that I'm going to be reading? When I tell you I lost everything.
Yeah, sure. Hang on.
I'm rebooting on everything here. This is horrible.
Let me letter. Okay.
Let's do this here. This may even be better.
All right. Hang on here. Mail. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Browse documents. Okay, I just shot the email to you, so let me know. Let me know if you get it.
I'm sure I will. Let's see here. Got it.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. I have no idea what happened today. Wow.
You know, like I say, technology, it's wonderful until it breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, right?
Right.
Let's go to a larger gallery at least here.
Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and put myself off of hide self view. Wait. No, that's not what I want more. I just want to turn my camera off. Oh, wait, I can just do that down here. Stop video. Okay, there we go. All right. I'll go ahead. Penny Stars here, and there's Vega. Let me admit both of them. All right. Okay. Oh, yeah, that looks good. All right.
Excellent.
Okay.
Hey, Aubrey, you don't have your background up.
Yeah, my system shut down. I'm going to have to be the anomaly here.
Having some technical difficulties. That's okay.
Major.
Well, I'm praying right now in Jesus' name it'll come back.
Amen.
It's fine.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we're waiting on. Still waiting on Marlon as well. So we'll admit. Give unmute. Is that Pastor? Is that Marlon?
I think so. I hope so.
All right. Hold on. Okay. Stop this. We'll give Marlon a couple minutes to join, and Francisco is here, but he stepped away for a minute. So, there's Marlon. Just 1 second. I got some other ministers joining. I'm not.
Excellent.
Okay. That's
All right, I'm back.
all right. Can't. Oh wait, there we go. Okay, you're here.
How's can you see the full phrase in my background? So I tried to move my screen back.
You're good.
All right.
Yeah, I can see it on everybody's, so that's good. Okay.
Now, do we have a group messenger open just in case you guys want to hit a secret message while we're live?
You're on live now.
You're live, sir.
All right. Well, there you go.
Okay. Well, let's see. All three of our pastors are here, so I'll go ahead and I guess get us started. So, first off, welcome everyone. I want to say thank you all for being here. So to go over briefly how we're going to run this, Bishop Aubrey Shines will read a letter, kind of as an introduction to the Getting to All Lives Matter training program. It's addressed to the director of the CDC that he and the other ministers plan to send out today after this press conference. And then I'll also give him and the other two pastors with us, Reverends Vega and Reed, a chance for some opening remarks. And then I will open the floor up to questions, and I'll unmute you as we go through one at a time to ask questions, and just say who you're with, and then you can ask, and then we will get this thing rolling. So, Bishop Shines, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much to each of you that have taken a moment, especially to our press that's available. This is a letter that we've constructed to the director, Robert Redfield, there at the Centers for Disease Control. And we just like to say to the director, as pastors and leaders in the church, we are firm believers in Christ's teaching of reconciliation and understanding. We therefore are disheartened by the onslaught of thought policy tactics that have swept the business community in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests this summer. Particularly, we are disheartened by how many corporations and businesses have been castigated by the mob for failing to meet its unrealistic standards for diversity. We have watched as many entities, including yours, have fallen victim to cancel culture, or alternatively, have rushed to adopt new diversity training programs that teach that human beings are inherently evil because of vague terminologies like, and I quote, implicit bias, end of quote. While it's admirable of you to teach diversity and inclusion to employees, your adoption of the, and I quote this, white fragility theory pushed by self-proclaimed cultural scholars is only going to spread more divisiveness and distrust among your employees. You are spreading lies that one ethnicity is inherently evil. And moreover, you've adopted these teachings out of fear, which is the worst kind of incentive. Let us then offer you our hand of friendship and in good faith, share with you an alternative employee training program that we've developed to build real trust between coworkers. We call it Getting to All Lives Matter. It's an easy one-day program for employees that consists of 6 modules based on facts and the idea that human beings are inherently good. Our program provides training and exercises that will not only rip away biases and preconceived notions, but will do so in a way that is both positive and uplifting. Our program teaches that people are not the problem. It teaches against resentment and deep-seated fear. Most importantly, we developed our methods using facts, not pseudo history like the 1619 Project. We don't shy away from difficult topics and conversations. The difference is that in Getting to All Lives Matter, the conversations are based in reality, not myths and superstitions. Importantly, we hold true to the rights outlined in our Constitution that guarantee freedom from any sort of discrimination based on race. This robust and thoughtful program is how we want to help your agency navigate these difficult times. We guarantee that Getting to All Lives Matter will help build trust between your employees, thereby ensuring a more positive and efficient workplace. We offer this to you freely as brothers in Christ, and we pray that it brings a lasting change to your corporation. And this is signed by both myself, the founder, as well as the co-founders, Pastor Francisco Vega, Reverend Derek McCoy, as well as Reverend Marlon Reed.
All right. So why don't we open up the floor for questions, and I will start with Michelle Lachow. So Michelle, I'm going to mute you, and you could just say who you're with and then ask your question. Well, all right. I guess Michelle, I guess she is unavailable at the moment. So why don't we move to Penny Star from Breitbart. I will unmute you. So.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, it's Penny Star, Breitbart News. My question is, how do you plan to, in other words, let me start over. Is this to be given to federal agencies and corporations, and how do you plan to try to win hearts and minds, so to speak, to have this replace what seems to be going around, which the critical race theory? I know this is to counter that, but how do you hope to get this actually incorporated into the private and public sector?
Penny, thank you so much for your question. One of the ways that we're doing this, we have already contacted numerous corporations, simply saying that we have an alternative as it relates to this type of divisiveness that we are seeing, unfortunately, lived out in our agencies, and not just federal agencies, by the way, but we're seeing it on the athletic scale. We're seeing it in various corporations that are indoctrinating employees to what we believe is something that has no historical basis, that it is and requires historical revisionists to begin to speak to these types of issues. And we're simply saying, let's look at the facts. Let's look at how they impact all Americans. And as a result of it, we believe that here at Conservative Clergy of Color, we can begin to create a narrative that we're communicating. And by the way, in a very civil as well as a very diplomatic way.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to add something?
Pastor Reed?
I believe that, as Pastor Shine stated, contacting several corporations and companies and offering them an alternative to the widespread adoption of such training like white fragility, which is based upon misnomers and not half-truths and myths. I believe that if corporations are offered an alternative that speaks more to more historically accurate and economically accurate information, I believe that it would be in their, I believe that they would be able to determine that it's in their best interest to introduce this type of curriculum to the workplace instead of one that is more divisive and creates more of an environment that is going to perpetuate an agenda, a divisive social agenda.
Pastor Vega?
Yeah, I also agree, Penny. I believe that we have to deviate from the rhetoric of critical race theory, which is now being coined as critical social justice, that's really embedded through Marxism and through European socialistic ideas, and really remember American exceptionalism and all of the one becoming the whole. And I believe that will bring a greater perspective of honor and respectability among whites and African Americans, Latinos. So we believe this curriculum is going to be able to unbiasedly create that type of equality and that discussion in the cultural framework.
All right, next I'm going to go to the Reverend Hooker, who's here. So Reverend, I'm going to unmute you, and then, or there you go. You could just say who you're with, and then feel free to ask your question.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
No, I was just coming in, understood the information that this meeting was going to go on, and really just wanted to know when this curriculum, how it's going to come out, and how can it get in the hands of local churches so that we can distribute it to our membership. You know, this is fascinating to me. And I'm with Poor People. I'm a tri-chair from the Poor People's Campaign in South Carolina.
Reverend Hooker, thank you so much for inquiring regarding this curriculum. As a matter of fact, if you go out to our site at Conservative Clergy of Color, and we make sure that you have all the pertinent information, we've already made contact with numerous churches, and it seems to be really a great celebration on the end of so many churches that are interested, because most congregants, white and or black, they're facing this type of bias and this type of division that is unfortunately running rampant. We're going to make sure that not only will this curriculum be provided, but we also, Reverend Hooker, will have videos. We will also, pardon me, be scheduling ourselves to make sure that I or one of the founders will be able to go in as it relates to various seminars within churches, in your community, and we will make sure that there is a ample amount of not just respect from both sides, but again, in a very civil and a very diplomatic way. I assure you, Reverend Hooker, we will make sure that your congregants and those that you are affiliated with will have access to this information. So thank you so much for taking a moment to participate. It really means a lot to us.
Excuse me. Excellent. Next, let's go to Tom Basile. I hope I said your name right, so excuse me if I did not, but I will unmute you if you could just say where you're from, and then feel free to ask your question.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Why don't we then go to we have another pastor on, and sir, if you could just say your name, who you're with, and then feel free to ask your question. I've asked to unmute you now.
I'm Pastor Harris. I'm just interested to find out at this particular time. I have no questions.
Pastor Harris, would you take a moment, sir, just at least share with us what region you are tuning in from?
I'm out of Jacksonville, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Pastor Harris. Again, we're hoping not only to be able to serve the greater ecumenical community, but again, as we've already expressed through Pastor Vega and Pastor Reed, we're also serving corporations. We're looking to serve various athletic forums as well, professional, semi-professional as well, because we're seeing a very concentrated effort on behalf of those that are helping stir what we call this seed of divisiveness within inside the framework of our nation. And what we would like to do is not just really debate, but we would just really love to be able, in a very civil, diplomatic environment, be able to come in and just have dialogue, to be able to express if there are questions, to be able to respond to those questions, not from a personal perspective and or, Pastor, from a personal ideology, but from a historical one. And this is what conservative clergy of color do. What we're doing is we're trying to simply reflect the very constitution of what we believe biblically, and that is all lives matter. And because all lives matter, we got to get to that point that we can engage, that we can at least see eye to eye. Those of us who believe in a Judeo-Christian ethos, that when God created this whole dynamic, he didn't just do it for one race or one particular group. He did it for all of us. And this is what conservative clergy are doing. So again, thank you from Jacksonville, Florida, for just sitting in. And again, we look forward, sir, to being able to serve you and your community.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right. Why don't we go back to going through our list here, rotating. Penny Starr, the next question is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you provide just a small example or two that's actually in the curriculum?
Reverend Reed? We can't hear him, William.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In the curriculum are several basic points, I believe 6 points, that we like to cover. And starting with number one, why are all lives matter approach will build a better team structure within corporations. Because what we're finding with the teaching by like people like Miss Robin DiAngelo with white fragility and the propaganda from teams like Black Lives Matter, they create this unfair and divisive perspective in corporations that ignore common history and ignore what the past and ongoing attempts in America to alleviate racial inequalities. So we start off the seminar with trying to get people to understand the true context of racial context in America, how America has progressed and come and grown beyond those places of racism and segregation to the place that we are now in America, and provide a more view of that promotes an homogenous type of environment for that's fair and equal to everyone. So that's the first training class. And then how the narrative in the media has gotten race completely wrong, and they less facts and more information. We want to provide more facts that will cause there to be less inflammation in these areas.
Pastor Vega?
Yeah, like Dr. Reed just said, the third aspect is, if you look on our slides, it actually talks about how we need to have less media malfeasance. And we believe there's a tremendous misinformation that's being spun that's really inflaming and inciting what we're seeing in the culture. And so we have a slide and an entire module that talks about exploring how the press and social media can inflame racial division and how to protect ourselves and protect the popular from misinformation. So we begin to train people how to discern that and consume proper information, how to have a civil discourse with coworkers, and really bring that narrative to the forefront of respectability. And also talking about another module of what's working, what's not working, and what should we try. And it's very solution oriented. And so in that session, we have a discussion about public policy efforts that have intended to reduce inequalities, and how have they done more harm than good, and what is the failure indicative of racial malice or unintended consequences. There's a lot of questions here that we go through in all 6 of these modules.
And Penny, let me add just a quick proviso to that. While conservative clergy of color never ever endorse any specific candidate, we will share historically that it is one, and again, this is having a dialogue employee to employee, that we will share that there has been a history of racism in this country, and we can see it lived out when you have a specific political party that fought against the equality of people, especially if they were people of color. That was the Democratic Party. They fought against the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, and we saw that same party give this nation groups like the KKK. They gave us laws like the Jim Crow laws, and unfortunately, we're still seeing it being lived out in certain politicians that actually have the audacity to say that if you're Black and you don't think a certain way, then you're really not Black or brown. Well, conservative clergy of color, we're trying to get to all lives matter, and we're just simply saying, let's stop this fiery debate where it's getting nowhere, but let's have a civil debate. Let's look at the history, let's look at the facts, and in doing so, I believe this nation really can get to something called all lives matters.
Thank you.
All right, next, let's try Michelle Achow again. Michelle, are you there? Okay. All right, well then, let me rotate it back to Tom from Newsmax. Tom, do you have any questions you would like to ask?
Not at this time. All very interesting, very powerful.
Okay. All right. Why don't we go back to Reverend Hooker then? Sir, do you have, based on what you've heard, you have any follow-up questions?
No, I don't have any follow-up questions. I really am intrigued and want to watch, see the curriculum, and then probably, I think, we do need a national dialogue on these areas, and we really need to, go local by local and kind of map it out and talk about it. I can't wait for you all to have an opportunity to go somewhere in South Carolina and sit and really have this dialogue. I just think it's going to be awesome. So I do hope that you all keep in contact and let us know, because I think this is something that, could be helpful to a lot of the companies, especially here in South Carolina, that are struggling with these areas right now.
Reverend Hooker, thank you again. We look forward, sir, to being part of your community as well as the other great communities throughout the beautiful state of Carolina. They're both south and north. And again, I think that we'll be able to serve all, not just a particular ethnicity, but all, because when we really think about it, everyone has a specific color, whether they're black or white or brown or yellow. We believe that there is a dynamic that is being lived out in our nation intentionally that is really trying to divide us. Unfortunately, we see this about every 4 years or so, but we've never seen it with the magnitude that we're looking at right now. So we look forward and would be honored in the very, very near future, actually, to coming to South Carolina, as well as various other places, whether they're Jacksonville, Michigan, Atlanta, and in Kentucky. There are some other places that are Minneapolis, Illinois. These are all very critical places, not just for election reasons, but for the sake of Americanism. And we're just simply saying, let's take a look at this great nation. Let's compare it to other nations. We know the history of this nation, that there have been times where we have fought some real challenges, but this is the only nation that have ever reconciled some of these atrocities. We fought wars. Our blood have spilled on various battlegrounds, whether it's black blood or white blood. What we come to realize that regardless of the skin color, the blood was all the same. It was red. And so what we're trying to do is just simply say, America is better than what the mainstream media is pushing. America is better than what various political groups that would continue to sow, again, these seeds of divisiveness to unfortunately disconnect us one from another. We're trying to make a difference. We're going to get, and I assure you, we will get to all lives matter. Why? Because all lives do matter.
I want to say to Pastor Hooker that I appreciate him being on today, because it is very important. Every person that works in corporate America, many of them hold many different types of religious beliefs. Some don't have any belief at all. But we understand that many people that are in corporate America also sit in pews. And it's so important that our pastors, especially in communities of color, can begin to offer an alternative to the narrative that's being pushed by certain groups that we can't really quantify exactly what the goal is besides anarchy and divisiveness. And I think the purpose of this curriculum, well, I know the purpose of this curriculum is to provide an alternative, to put tools in the hands of leaders, pastors, even in corporations, anyone who is an influencer, to give the type of information that will counteract and help diffuse this chaotic state that we see America going into more and more every day in the news. And it's so important now. It's very crucial. And I got to say that I'm excited that pastors are interested, because this is not particularly designed for pastors, but it can be used in church settings also, because as you and I know it, I'm a pastor of a church. We are corporations. We have staff. There needs to be training even within churches for sensitivity and on certain subjects. So it's exciting that pastors are taking interest in this. This is something I hadn't even thought of, actually, that pastors themselves want to implement this and put it in the program. But we do need pastors in pulpits that are echoing truth in every area, not just in the gospel, but socially, addressing social ills that are affecting the congregants and the people who go out into the world and work and operate in corporate America.
Yeah, I as well, Reverend Hooker. I really commend you and the others here online. It's definitely effective for corporate settings. And like Reverend Reed said, many churches are being affected by the message of Black Lives Matter, and it has created a lot of division in congregations. And I know for a fact that there are many clergy and pastors and faith leaders who are saying, if I could just get hold of a curriculum that is able to present the understanding of history while also having a great grasp and a hope on what we can expect in the future, that's historically accurate, that's even biblically and critically sound culturally, that does it with clemency, with respect, with integrity. People can feel like they're understood, but also it assists in the cultural conversation regarding integration. I believe a lot of faith leaders and thought leaders, not only corporations and CEOs, will say, listen, I want to run this curriculum because it's going to assist my congregation, which is often very much so in American in varying contexts, being multi-ethnic. Whether it's a historically Black church or a white church or a multi-ethnic church, it will create understanding, and we're very excited about that as well.
All right. I think we probably have time for one more round of questions. So, Tom, just based off what you heard, I'll go to you first if you have any follow-up questions for our pastors this morning. Okay. All right. Let me move on to.
I was just gonna. I just
Sorry.
had one. I didn't take myself off mute. I just wanted to ask for the group: do you believe that critical race theory is in fact itself racist and perhaps in violation of the Civil Rights Act?
Tom, we do. This is Bishop Shines. Yes, we do believe that it is, because again, it assumes several things. The moment that an individual or a group is forced to think specifically as another group deems them to, you've taken away that individual's constitutional right. More importantly, you've taken away their God-given right, because God had created all individually. So the moment that we come in, there has to then be an assertion and an assumption that because a person is white, that some kind of way that gives them an upper hand. But if we're going to use, Tom, that as the thermometer and or barometer to really measure, then how then would rest of America take a look at, for instance, those who are Asian descent? Asians lead economically. Also, Africans that come to America, they're not having the same problems as those who have been here for hundreds of years. So again, to blame white people for having some alleged superiority, then they're doing a horrible job. Why? Because certainly they would then be the dominant force. They're not. Asians are. As a matter of fact, whites don't and are not on the top of that economically. They're not on the top of that academically. And we're seeing that because of the various lawsuits that have been entered even at universities like, for instance, Harvard, where Asians are being excluded even above whites. Why? They're taking time to do the work, et cetera, et cetera. So again, to assume that we have this systemic racism that is coming from whites, well, then certainly by way of definition, they would maintain their superiority by being only exclusively white in every area. But various people of color actually are doing better than even whites that are here. So to assume that this type of superiority lies within the framework of critical theory as it relates to critical white theory, it's just too far of a phantom of a jump. And we're exposing that really every life matter. And we found that various components, case in point, Black and white family, both married, both nuclear families, both educated, there's zero difference in employment. Why? Because there's zero difference prior to those kids being born in an environment, those Black, brown kids, where there are no fathers. Well, there's the disparity, but that has nothing to do with whites. Those are personal choices. So we're going to get to all lives matter when we just simply point out the fact that this whole premise of this critical theory is based on a lie. It is inaccurate. It does not reflect fact. And what we're doing is we're exposing it for what it is. We will get, Tom, that every life really does matter. And the only way you can do that is be informed and have this information.
Reverend Reed, do you want to add anything to that?
My colleague addressed it fully, but I would add, if I was to add something, that the problem with critical race theory, white fragility, is that it's based upon misnomers, untruths, myths. It is the fact that it's race-based approach in the first place. It shouldn't be race-based. It should be fact-based. It should be historically, economically fact-based. And when you have a race-based approach, you're trying to push an agenda, and it's not just to arrive at the truth. You're pushing an agenda that actually undermines the civil rights protections that are guaranteed to all citizens by the Constitution when you push these things. And I believe that, I believe if people are given information, are given facts, are given proof, given truth, citing relevant studies and best practices, these teachings in these modules that we were introducing explores the relationship between the actual state of race relations, and try to put an end to all of the blame tactics and rhetoric that is what we find white fragility and critical race theory is based upon in the first place. I think that if we just simply tell the truth, you'll begin to see critical race theory, white fragility, without even addressing it directly, will fall apart. It'll become moot if you just simply tell the truth. And that's what we believe, that this curriculum we will arrive at all lives matter when we understand the true facts, not just a supposition, Black lives matter. Well, when have Black lives not mattered? That supposes something. And it creates a false narrative when you build that type of logic on that. Black lives have always mattered. White lives matter. All people, all lives matter. And I believe that with facts, information, reiterating, we'll come to that conclusion.
I echo those sentiments. You know, Dr. Peter Bosnian, he talked about the 8 tactics of what is being coined as critical social justice, and it moves people from being antagonistic and attacking individuals with ad hominem, with just all kind of expletives, and it embraces a Saul Alinsky type approach to redressing grievances, and it's just antithetical to democracy. And when you look at this, I truly believe that critical race theory, like that was mentioned, will completely be dismantled, and that will move toward more of a place where we're not demonizing whiteness per se as the icon of all oppression. I believe when you look at the variables of when you look at economics, when you look at education, when you look at the family structure, which we personally believe one of the greatest needs in the African American and Latino community is we need a reconstructionism where it pertains to family values. And when you see, when you get an education, when you're able to not have a child out of wedlock, when you're able to be married, those are the things that really cause poverty to be broken down and to be removed. And I believe when we look at that, and we really look at those family structures and those educational needs, and we begin to see how America is exceptional, and how just the idea of capitalism, democracy, people having equal access into these opportunities, which has been happening since our nation, just since Ellis Island, it really destroyed the European ideals of Marxism and socialism, because there is an American privilege that I believe all colors equally access. And I believe if you look in third world countries, people will see an American privilege, and it's not based on ethnicity. It's based on the amazing opportunities that we have in our nation for education, for entrepreneurship, for free government, our Bill of Rights, religious liberty. And I think we want to show an unbiased approach to history to gain that understanding, and it will assist in creating greater race relations.
All right. Let's go back to Penny Starr. Penny, you have the floor for a final question.
Okay, thanks, great. I wonder, I know this is the second virtual press conference I've attended, and you've had some good reaction from it, but have you had any negative pushback from people who criticize, well, let's just say, be honest, Black conservatives, and having an agenda other than wanting harmony and racial equality?
Unfortunately, Penny, we have, and we look forward to it. It's nothing that we shy away from. Just a few days ago, I was at Liberty University, several round chairs there addressing the body there in Lynchburg, Virginia. And one of the main speakers there off camera ask the same question. I'll share with you what I shared with him. There's always going to be a pushback. Why? Because in the words of Booker T. Washington, and I love using him as this example, Booker T said that there is a group of individuals that need race problems to continue. Why? He asks and answers the question. He said, it keeps them lucrative. It keeps them prominent. So there are pushbacks because we are upsetting the conservative clergy of color. We are upsetting the narrative, not because we're pushing an agenda. We're just simply saying, look at the facts, that we're going to get to all lives matter. When they see this and when they hear this, they're upset because if we're successful, not just as clergy of color, I'm talking America right now. If we're successful in uniting this great ideal called America, then it strips away individuals like an Al Sharpton, a Jesse Jackson, any other race baiter, any other organization that continues to need, in the words of Booker T. Washington, they need this type of division to continue. Why? Booker T said it better than I ever could. He said it keeps them lucrative. It makes them relative. We're simply saying that if there are certain principles in this nation that are followed, I believe as Pastor Vega eloquently just stated, where children are born into a home where there's a marriage, where children are then raised by that father and by that mother, we won't have 81% of those unwed then children that become part of the penal system. 79.4% will not even be able to finish high school. And unfortunately, that same percentile will repeat the same cycle. We want to disband that concept by getting to Every Life Matter, giving them some rules that will help them get there, proven facts that help everyone, not just Black, not just brown, but everyone. So is there pushback? Absolutely. It's from individuals, by the way, both Black and white liberals that make a lucrative income on keeping this nation divided. And we're simply saying, as conservative clergy of color, we refuse to buy that narrative and we're pushing back. So is there a pushback? You better believe it. But we believe with our few stones, we will take the head off of that Goliath very, very shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then just to give opportunity, Michelle, if you're there, did you have any follow-up questions for our pastors as well? All right. And then Pastors Hooker and Pastor Harris did.
This is Michelle. I was telling you I was just listening.
Oh, my bad. I think
it's fine. I'm fine. I'm
okay.
fine.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for attending. We appreciate it.
No problem.
And then Pastors Harris and Hooker, did either of you have any follow-up questions?
No, I'm well.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you again to everybody who attended. We will be afterwards making those modules available. And in the meantime, everybody have a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks again.
Thank you. Gentlemen, ladies, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.